What's going on? James here, VP of Growth at ProLine CRM, and today we're going to look at how to make $100,000 in roofing sales. Now, it starts with the math. So, for the sake of the conversation here, let's assume you're going to earn 10% commission on jobs with an average ticket of $10,000. With that 10% commission, an average ticket of $10,000, we're going to sell about 100 roofs per year. So roughly 2 sales per week, okay? At 100 roofs annually, you're gonna be at $100,000, right? But how do you sell 100 roofs? Because on paper and with the gurus and at the conferences and at the bar after your 15th Jack and Coke, it's very easy to brag that you're able to sell a ton of money, make a ton of money in roofing sales. You have a 97% close rate. You never lose a deal. Every homeowner loves you. Their wives, their dogs, their geckos, their cats, everyone is in love with you. And it's just the easiest thing in the world to make 6 figs. But is it? There's 3 passes I see it to $100,000. Number 1 is going to be to increase lead flow, okay? Generate more opportunities, more shots on goal, more opportunities for conversion to an inspection. Number 2 is going to be to increase close rate. Now, this is a little bit more difficult than lead flow, especially because there's way more nuance. There's way more pauses, intonation, inflection, tonality. You have to pay a little bit more attention to what they're saying as well. You can't just blah, 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 blah. The third here is to increase the sale value, contract value, collected value, what have you. All in all, just raise the ticket price and you can get closer to that 100,000 without running 100 sales a year. So example 1 here would be, let's say you have 30% of leads book inspections. So on 100 leads, right, you have 30% of those, so 30 leads book into inspections. Then we have 30% of those inspections result in sent quotes. So you make an offer, you talk to homeowner, you talk to spouse, you talk to somebody, you present a price. Maybe it's good, better, best, maybe it's single option, maybe it's multi-option, multi-structure. Doesn't really matter for this example right now, but 30% of the inspections result in an offer. Okay, so you send a quote. And then 50% of those quotes, 50% of those offers close. If your average sale is still 10,000, then you're going to need 2,223 leads per year, about 6 leads per day to hit that 100,000. To recap, in example 1, you've got 30% of all leads booked to inspections, 30% of those inspections resulting in quotes, right, where you make an offer. You've then got 50% of the offers made to close. Average ticket is still 10,000, which means that to make 100 grand, you're going to need 2,223 leads a year. So on average, 6 leads a day. Okay, decent amount of leads to get to 100K. Example 2, I'm going to switch up these numbers a little bit. Let's say still 30% of leads booked to inspections, but then of those people that book to inspections, 50% instead of 30% lead to quotes. So 50% of those get offered instead of 30. So instead of a little under 1 in 3, now 1 in 2. That is a substantial lift. And then let's say 50% of those offers, the quotes that you are giving to homeowner, you're passing off to their spouse, you're following up on, 50% of them close, whether it's single call close or it's at the kitchen table, it's at the front door, it's in follow up the sale, kind of whatever. 50% of the offers made though close. And let's say your average sale instead of being $10,000 ticket is $11,000. So a 10% increase in ticket value, right, to $11,000. What that means is that instead of 6 leads a day, you're going to need on average 3 to 4 leads per day to hit that $100,000. A little bit more manageable. Now that we've walked through an example of pulling multiple levers, I want to talk about increasing lead flow specifically. The reality of increasing lead flow is that you're going to hit an upper limit on the leads that you can work manually on a daily basis. Now, Dimitri from Roofing Insights would say that number is 3. Whether you agree with that number or not, I believe that the whole industry would agree that there is an upper limit on what you have the capability to work effectively on a daily basis. The solution here is multi-factor when you increase lead flow. Number 1, and fundamental in my mind, is that you use a CRM to manage leads and automate the follow-ups, thereby taking away the constraint that you can't get back to people fast enough. You can't get back to people in a timely manner, in a professional way, because you have too many leads. Crank lead flow, but don't crank the amount of extra work that is created by that, and you'll be in a better spot. The second part to this is to build better habits around follow-up, around call times, around checking in on questions, with use of AI. Just put yourself in a position to win more by being more available, even if it's not personally you. Number 3 here would be to focus on referrals and capacity management of production. There's a high probability that if you're watching this and you're trying to get better at roofing sales, you're trying to take home more money from roofing sales, you are probably not the person installing. You're probably not the person doing production. You have an upper limit on what the company can actually handle at any given time, using in-house labor, using subcontracted labor. You have an upper limit. Focus on referrals, focus on a steady stream of referral revenue there, and make sure that your production team has an idea of how much capacity you're going to need, and then call on your leaders if you need a little bit more help there. But when you increase lead flow, a lot of things can go right, but some things can definitely go wrong if you're not paying attention. As it pertains to increasing close rate, there is something that will overwhelmingly improve your close rate if you do nothing else, and that is targeting. You know, probably, and if you're too new, maybe you don't, and you need to start taking notes and figure this out. You probably know the customer that you serve best. You probably know the customer that your company likes to work best with. You probably know the type of demographics that person is. You probably know the type of psychographics, what they like, what they're into, who y'all vibe with. Maybe your company crushes for first-time homeowners. Maybe your company crushes with a more senior population. Maybe your company crushes with somebody that looks exactly like you. Or maybe your company crushes with female business owners because your whole sales team are all female business owners. I don't know, but figure out what that type of homeowner or type of customer is, demographically, psychographically, income-wise. Figure that out and then go after them specifically. Because if you figure out who you best serve, you best enjoy working with, it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier to make more money and also provide a higher level of service, because you're not going to be catering to 15 quadrillion different demographics that want things done a little bit differently, that don't want follow-up a certain way, or like hate text messages or hate emails. You should know across the board your step and repeat process. Doing this will increase your close rate pretty quickly. Now, the other thing that gets lost in the sauce with all the gurus online is that people run away from objections. People oftentimes feel that when they get an objection, they got to sidestep it. They can't address it head on. They can't have a conversation about it. It means that they're bad at sales. None of that is true. You have to have word tracks. You have to have an understanding on how to seek clarity with the homeowner or customer or whoever when they give you objections. My recommendation would be to take a play out of the Home Rosie book and attack these on the front end in a way where they're obstacles. Right? Jeremy Miner talks about this. Chuck Toki talks about this. Many people that teach sales talk about this. But you being in a position where these objections get attacked as obstacles and as understandings and things that you're going after, trying to address up front, will then put you in a position where you don't get overwhelmed by them as objections after you drop price, after you present options. Also, ask some damn questions. The hilarious thing is that so many people that want to be good at sales don't ask any questions. They don't do any discovery. They sit in a place where, they pull here's our underlayment, here's our warranty, and here's what JAF does for us, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I promise you that a homeowner doesn't give a damn. They don't give a damn at all. They, in fact, care less about that than probably the toilet paper they use to wipe their butt. And I hate to say that because some of y'all are going to be upset about that, but they care about how you can solve their problems. They care about how you can solve their pain points. They care about where you can meet them and help them get to where they're trying to go. Ask about them. You got one mouth and two ears for a reason. Another thing that would be important to pay attention to is your tonality, your voice, your body language. Are you leaning in when you speak? Are you leaning back? Are you calm? Are you curious? Are you concerned? Are you playing dumb? You don't have to play dumb, but it will help. You should be paying attention to your tonality, your body language, and your voice in general. That's going to take close rate up pretty aggressively. You also want to role play for at least an hour a day, I would say. I'd say if you're not devoting 60 minutes a day to it in some format, whether it's reviewing game tapes or, rocking and rolling with somebody else on the sales team or training your own SDR, your inside salesperson, or practicing it in general as a sales team, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. And then another thing, and you should look to potentially Ryan Serhant on this, massive real estate mogul out of New York, absolute savage with follow-up. Straight up follows up until people die or they buy. That's it. There's only two options they get out of follow-up. They die or they buy. Or, for compliance standpoint, they tell you to stop messaging them because they're going to report you. Okay, don't continue to message someone for that. But you need to follow up way more than you think. 3 touch points after you deliver a quote, not enough follow-up. Absolutely, positively not enough. Okay? Not it. And then I think the last thing here that would be, it should be this, but care about the damn homeowner. There's nothing worse than you doing this and not caring about somebody and doing it for the money, and that is it. Now that we've talked about both increasing close rate and increasing lead flow, let's talk about increasing sale value. Very common recommendation would be to sell good, better, best. Sell 3 option, or sell best, better, good. Regardless of whether your name is Chris Scoville or Chuck Toki, you can go either direction, and there's benefits to both and advantages to both that we can talk about in another video, but you want to go 3 option, multi-option in some format. Good, better, best. 3 options is typically enough to say, oh, I'm not cheap. Wow, I don't need that. I'll stick in the middle. You will get way more. There's obviously some pricing things that you can do as well that we won't go into in this video, but offering multi-option, extremely important. I would caveat on top of that and go multi-structure, but another thing for another video. You also want to look at building upsells into quotes and educational and informational materials for homeowners. This could be warranty pages. This could be speaking about the advantages of going a denser material, increasing their underlayment, the value of ice and water, class 4 versus class 3. This could be a maintenance package. This could be subscription, something after the initial. Sale value comes down to more value provided. And in my book, you should go 10x value to cost to the best of your ability, anywhere that you can. But build some upsells. Gutters, siding, upgrades in the class of the shingle, all kinds of things that you can do there. Something that you want to pay attention to. You want to identify your highest paying customers and target similar prospects to them. This could be socioeconomically, this could be regionally, this could be same neighborhood, this could be people that drive the same car. Maybe it's all of the, Mercedes customers in Buckhead where we're at. Maybe that's the kind of homeowner you want. Maybe you want to rock to Sandy Springs and you want to go to the BMW dealership. I don't know. You don't necessarily have to pick anything I just said, but find your highest paying customers. You should be able to find this in the CRM, should be able to find this in your QuickBooks or Xero or whatever you're using for that, and target more people like that. And then the holy grail, if none of those 3 levers are what you want to pay attention to, or you've already done all those 3, is going to be referrals. Referrals are the easiest leads to close. They're also the easiest leads to get, and they increase sale value because there's way more trust on the front end. Dumb question, but do you even ask for referrals? Most people don't, and because they don't, they leave tons of money on the table from already raving fans that would have referred you to, Tina down the street if you had just asked. Now that we know that you don't ask for them, let's talk about how you can get them. Let's give you the step-by-step of how to do this. So, how do we get referrals in the roofing space? You work for a reputable roofing business. That's number 1. Your brand and your associations will follow you everywhere you go. If you work for a shyster company, I promise you it's going to be very hard to get more referrals because word travels fast and negativity spreads a whole lot faster than positivity. You need to educate your homeowners, not educating them on your underlayment type, but how about educating them on the advantage of using something that is rated da-da-da. So not talking about the actual material type and talking more about the benefits and advantages. We don't need a feature dump. We need to give the benefits and advantages of that feature. Follow up consistently. If you follow up and you provide communication cadence that is very advantageous for your homeowners, they're going to want you to work with other people. They're going to want other people to have that kind of experience. You can also ask at the point of sale, thank you, Adam Bensman. That is the time to ask for referrals. I love to collect credit card, collect money, go ahead and take deposit, and then ask for referrals there. You can ask after job completion. You can ask forever using automated follow-ups. You also can offer instant rewards. Gift cards are better than discounts. So rather than future money off, giving them something tangible that you can hand them for the referral as a swap there, very helpful. Let's roll over high earning habits and then we will get out of here. You need to own your day 100%. Set out. Begin with the end in mind. Figure out what it is you're going to go do, how you're going to put yourself in the best position to succeed. Adam Bensman says time, not sales ability, is a limiting factor. And what he means by that is not that you have to be a savage at sales, but that you've got to be under the bar, so to speak. You've got to be on the road. You've got to be pounding the pavement at the door enough to get good enough to actually do this. Daily role play and follow-ups. Very high earning habit. Sticking to a consistent process, whether it's Bensman Slap, whether it's the way that Chuck at Top Rep coaches, whether it's Jeremy Miner, or it's Closer from Mosey, or it's someone like Bill Walsh or Matt Ryder or somebody else, find a process. Jordan Belfort, Straight Line Selling, find a process and stick to it. Absolutely repeatable, and stick to it to get consistent results. Knock doors near job sites where you already have social proof. You have your sign, you have your crew, you have your people working that job. Knock around those doors. Use yard signs, door hangers, postcards. And then stay organized with tools like your CRM, notepads, or whatever works for you. Of course, I'm biased and I would love for you to be in a spot where you're using a CRM and maybe even use us. But if you're not going to do that, at least stay organized in some format. Now that you have these high earning habits and everything that we talked about here, go out there and go get that 100,000. I appreciate your time and attention. It is your most valuable resource. We will see you next time. Appreciate you. Peace.